Baker Mayfield and then Jared Goff after yesterday's game. Buccaneers, another example of a great story that has to end. A lot of great stories in the NFL season. Only one story has the happiest possible ending. But for the Buccaneers, a season of transition post Tom Brady, $35 million in dead money under the cap this year, attributed to a guy who isn't even there. They win the division, they win a playoff game, and they give the Lions everything they can handle. Even though at the end of the day, the Lions covered somehow the 6.5-point spread, it felt like the Bucs were in it to win it and to advance, and they fed off of everything. There was the shot of Baker Mayfield before the game, kind of like Serenity Now, eyes shut, taking it all in, living in the moment, going out there to fulfill his own destiny. And they could have. It was a lot closer than I think a lot of people thought it was going to be.
Yeah, that's right. Right. I think you heard me last week a little bit. Jason Garrett in the pregame. Right. There were some things we saw on the Tampa Bay football team where he went, hey, they match up with the Detroit Lions. They might not be as good, but there's some areas of strengths that matched up with the Lions' strengths where you went, okay, they're not going to take advantage of them there. And then, hey, the Lions in the secondary, they're not that great. And it's Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. They could throw the ball a little bit. They hung around and more than that, really, right? Again, I think it was one of those where we kind of hit on it at halftime where the Bucs dropped missed some opportunities early on to maybe be even a little bit more of a power position or at least have more pressure on the Lions. All right, you start off just early on. I talked to Baker Mayfield pregame. Hey, I'm gonna kind of settle in. I want to let the team settle in. I don't want to let this crowd go crazy. I want us to kind of get a feel for the environment. Throws a nice ball over the middle, but Mike Evans is kind of late getting his hands up or whatever. Boom, interception. First negative thing. Oh, no. All right, well, they kind of do okay and fight their way out of it. But as we know, and here it is, you'll see, I don't know where Mike Evans' eyes were, but you'll see on the replay here, especially from the end zone version, he just gets his hands up late, and then it ends up knocking the ball in the air. And big momentum swing, change, whatever, gets right onto Detroit's favor right off the bat, let alone they got into the end zone, right? We saw not long after this where Jamel Dean dropped an interception that, they had a chance to be a 103-yard interception return, let alone no points for the Lions, and they dropped that opportunity. So it was a great game. But Lion grit, kneecap biting Dan Campbell, proved to be stronger than the Buccaneers' success story once again, and it was cool to see. A great atmosphere, and can't say enough about the Lions and what they're doing right now.
When the Bucs tied it up just before halftime, 10-10, there was a shot of Dan Campbell, and I saw fear in his eyes.
Yeah.
First time ever. I saw kind of a look on his face of, holy crap, we might lose this game.
Yeah.
Like I haven't even envisioned that possibility. We might lose this game. And I don't mean fear, because I don't think he's afraid of anything, up to and including Satan himself. I think he'd try to bite his kneecap off if he has kneecaps. But there was that look of, I didn't expect this today. And that, we've seen both Saturday and Sunday, and we'll eventually get to the Ravens game. The team that's favored goes into the locker room tied up, and it could go the other way. You could get tight, you could fall apart, you could blow it, and they end up taking care of business on the back end.
Yeah, taking care of business on the back end, really kind of stepped on the pedal there, right? Third, early fourth quarter, took control of the football game. Defense made some stops. Jared Goff was phenomenal. They ripped off a few big runs, really, with Jahmyr Gibbs, right, in the second half, got that going. But I think, it's the Dan Campbell, it's the grit, it's the way they play football, right? In a matchup like this, a lot of the times, it's like the Buccaneers had to change their style of play more than the Lions did. And when that happens more times than not, the team that has to change their style of play, right, hey, every now and then you pull off the upset, but more times than not, you're getting away from what got you there and what made you who you are, and you're playing a game in which, wait, we don't normally play this. This isn't our normal way. And right, the Bucs, they're a blitzing football team. It's Todd Bowles. It's blitz, baby, blitz. It's blitz, Tampa blitz. That's what they do. And I think you heard me in the pregame. I don't know if there's a game here where they might go, hey, the old okey doke curveball, we're not going to blitz. Because if you watch Detroit, you know how well they're coached, and you go, you blitz, they're going to pick it up and gash you. They had to bend their style of play. And Detroit, it took them a little while to figure it out, but they did that, and they did it behind the arm of Jared Goff, who has embraced the kneecap-biting edge that Dan Campbell brought to that football team, and I don't think it's benefited anybody more than him. Tough, hangs in the pocket, just never shy with the trigger anymore. Oh, it's open by an inch, or I got to stand in there and throw the ball down the middle in the tight window, no problem. And I really give Jared Goff a lot of credit for turning around his career in a big, big way, and really just striking gold with what he's done there in Detroit.
I mean, look, the Rams did not tie a first-round draft pick to get his contract off their books accidentally. There was a reason for it at the time.
That's right.
3 seasons later, and maybe that's what he needed. Maybe it's no different than when Chris Carter needed to get kicked off.
I hear you. Agreed.
Different circumstances, different reasons,
yeah.
But sometimes you need that wake-up call, and that's why you see teams give guys chance after chance after chance after chance. It's why the Jets, I believe, kept hanging on to Zach Wilson. You don't want the guy to get the ultimate wake-up call and become the guy that he was destined to be for a team other than yours. I'd rather he never reach his full potential if he has to go somewhere else to reach his full potential. I think that's the mindset for some of these teams.
Yeah.
Because we're going to look bad in the process. The Rams, even though they won the Super Bowl 2 years ago, they look like they were premature in their assessment that Goff is irrevocably broken, that he can't be fixed, that we're willing to give away 2 first-round picks, a third-round pick, and him to get a guy who is closer to the end of his career than the beginning. And he's far closer to the end of his career than Jared Goff. They could still have Goff for many more years and have used the 2 first-round picks.
Right.
Third-round pick. Now, maybe that wouldn't have meant winning the Super Bowl in 2021, but if they could have done with Goff what the Lions have done with Goff,
yep,
maybe they'd be winning multiple Super Bowls over the course of this decade. And somebody texted me last night, the Lions should just pay Ben Johnson $12 million a year to be their offensive coordinator, because the minute he leaves, it's all going to fall apart. I don't know that that's true, but that is one of the wrinkles here that Lions fans need to brace for, because I'm sure that Ben Johnson had a lot to do with this resurrection of Jared Goff. You take him out of the mix, is there going to be a regression next year?
Yeah, that's right. And that's what we're going to see. I think I lean on what you said. I think this is just what Jared Goff needed in his career to kind of get him over a lull, get him over the hump. Right? I think Sean McVay and the Rams, they weren't wrong with their thoughts on what we saw. I mean, at his end of his tenure there with the Rams, they had massaged and done everything to make him look good, right? And I think that's where sometimes it's wrong, because when you're the first pick of the draft, they roll out the red carpet, and it's always like, oh, we got to make them look good. We got to do this for them. We got to do that for them. Detroit got him, and Dan Campbell was like, we're going to run the ball, stand in the damn pocket, and throw the damn ball. And we'll design a lot of plays like that around you, because Jared Goff's not a backyard, I'm going to make plays, get on my shoulders type of guys like Mahomes is. But you get a little system around him, he'll get you in the right plays, he'll read the defense the right way. You can protect him and run the ball like we see, then he's good to go. And that's the formula I think they found, let alone that he knew, like, wow, if I don't start to play a different way and start to be a little more aggressive, my ass is going to be in the back, a backup quarterback from here on out. So I better start, throws that I turned down with the Rams, where I used to sit here with you and go, I mean, if it's not wide open and Sean McVay doesn't deliver it on a silver platter, he can't make the play. That's not even close to what he is now. Now he's like, oh, he's open by 3 inches. 100-mile-per-hour fastball. Bam, I'll throw it in there. And that's where he's different. And that's where you give Mark Brunell, the quarterback coach, a lot of credit, right? Ben Johnson, to your point, and a guy like Dan Campbell, who hung there behind him and kind of groomed him into what he is right now. And now he's them, Mike. He's a jerk. He's tough, right? I go up to him before the game. Jared Goff doesn't like me, right? He's heard some of the things I've said. I love that he doesn't like me. And I love when he looks at me, looks at me kind of like, oh, you asshole, come over here and say hi. He doesn't really want to say hi to me. He said hi. I told him I respected that. I said, I like that you're shoving it back in people's like me's face. Good for you. Like, seriously. I'm like,
God, I wish I would have been there.
I was proud of him because I think they're few of their assistant coaches were around, and I think they were a little taken back how like Jared didn't give me the time of day at first, and I was like, he doesn't like me. Like he never liked me. I said some things with the Rams, and I've seen him a few times, and I know he looks at me like, oh, you're an asshole. I don't like you. But I respect what the grit and the toughness and what he's done and shut up the haters and all of that. Big time respect to Jared Goff for bouncing back and turning his career around in a major way.
I think your overriding point is there used to be a kind of a hesitation by him to take what was there quickly.
Right.
Think a little bit too long, and it goes back to the play. And,
right, stuff like that. Right.
Brandon Cooks wide open the second time they ran the play. The second time he popped wide open. The first time, okay, you didn't see him. You threw it to Robert Woods instead. We still gained some yards. We would have had a touchdown if you'd thrown to Cooks. Second time around, after we talked about it for 25 minutes in the locker room at halftime, and he pops wide open, you gotta see it faster. You got to throw it faster. He did both. Failed to do both. And Jason McCourty got over to intercept it, and that was that. That was their chance to win a championship. So if he shed that, then the Lions have gotten something they can build around.
That's
and
right.
The Rams did him a favor.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. Look, it's great to see people change. We should embrace that.
Right.
Whatever way, whether it's how they deal with others, how they deal with their job, whatever they do. It's growth, it's maturity, it's development, it's learning from your mistakes, it's committing to change, and it's an uplifting, inspiring story. And if it knocks down narratives that we crafted 5 years ago that we just didn't feel like getting rid of, because I love being able to say I was right when I was telling the Rams, you shouldn't extend this guy and give him a market level contract. And Sean McVay was stubborn about it. And I still remember him and Fred Rogan on doing an interview somewhere acting like I was a freaking idiot. I am for other reasons, but I was right about that. As long as the Rams were right about flushing the toilet on Goff. And now that it looks like they were wrong, well, okay, maybe they were right to give him the contract. They were just wrong to not be patient with him.
Yeah, I think so. And a little bit of where their team was at, and they couldn't play the play action, run the ball at will type of football game at that point, right? I mean, they went to the Super Bowl that year with Stafford with not a very good offensive line. They just made it happen with getting the ball out, checks, protection changes, all of that, right? So I don't think because they had gone in on draft picks and big free agents and stuff like that, I don't think they were capable of putting this kind of formula around them, right? The way Sean McVay and the Rams played this year, that would be more like we saw with the Lions. And you'd go, oh, Jared Goff would fit that now, definitely. And he can make it work. But either way, incredible job by him, incredible job by the Lions. And it's just, I think it's the Lions, aggressiveness on both sides of the football, their fearlessness that's impressive to me. Even a game like yesterday, right? They know they're not a great defense. They understand that, but they're going to take away one aspect. And even though the Bucs aren't a great running football team, for the most part, they were like, we know you can throw it. We're not great in the secondary, but we're not going to let you throw it and run it. That's not going to happen because then it's just like Pandora's box is open and you can do whatever. So they still go, hey, we're going to stop the run. You're going to make some plays on us in the pass game. And then Aaron Glenn, he'll come up with a few tactical blitzes in a big moment to put pressure on you, and we'll make the big play because we're the kneecap and biting Detroit Lions. And that to me is what they did. Even the last interception to end the football game, right? They got a few blitzes home on Baker Mayfield during the game when we were watching. We were like, damn, Baker didn't see that, or they tricked the protection. And the interception at the end of the game by Baker Mayfield, again, was a great blitz, right? That caused chaos and confusion, and Baker Mayfield, as he was getting hit, saw, hey, wait, I think he's about to come open, and just didn't lead him enough there. And it was a tight window, tough decision throw there in a desperate moment. And Barnes made a great play. But it was set up by Aaron Glenn dialing up the right blitz in the right moment to put pressure on the quarterback to make a quick, tough decision, people around him into a tight window. And that benefited the defense and the Detroit Lions, and big play to win the game right there.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.